Alabama is 27% black. They should have 2 congressional seats, but the Supreme Court put a stop to that being enacted for November midterm elections. They are going to take up a challenge to the Voting Rights Act that could very well determine whether or not provide a death knell, if you will, to the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Tomorrow, they're going to hear court arguments on the constitutionality of Alabama's Republican-drawn congressional map. A lower court, again, agreed that the redrawn congressional map violated the 1965 Voting Rights Act law by having only one district where black voters make up the majority. The Supreme Court removed a provision of the Voting Rights Act that permitted the Justice Department to check election laws in states with a history of racial discrimination. The court will look at a similar voting rights case in North Carolina and also Louisiana in the upcoming weeks, where there should be, the lower courts rule there should be a second majority black district in Louisiana, and as a third African-American. Joining us now is Khadidah Stone, Kress Programs Coordinator and a grassroots community organizer for the Alabama Institute for Social Justice, and Shalela Dowdy, hopefully I got that right, a crowd fellow with the Southern Coalition on Social Justice. Glad to have both of you here. So let's break this down. The crazy thing is the court's rule, well, the Supreme Court stopped it. Then it was like, oh, there's not enough time to actually redo the districts. Well, we know that's a lie. Same thing in Louisiana. And so when you look at Alabama, 27% of the state population, you look at Louisiana, a third of the state African-American as well. And what Alabama has done, the Republicans, they basically packed all the black people into one district, one congressional seat. And without the VRA, the courts will simply allow Republicans to keep doing that. And what it does is it actually lessens black voting power because you're diluting it by putting them all in one district.
You are absolutely right. We should have 2 based off our state population. And right now, the black voting power in Alabama is diluted. And they basically stayed the maps because they didn't want to screw over the candidates who had already filed to run for office this upcoming term. But I say it's always the right time to do the right thing. And so now black Alabamians have to go and vote for positions that align with a map that's gerrymandered, and it dilutes our vote.
And look, well, their strategy is real simple. They want to help white Republicans. And so it's called packing and cracking, you know, and Republicans love to complain about Supreme Court packing, but they got no problem packing black folks in one district to help white Republicans continue to win by diluting the strength of black voters.
I agree. So it really comes down to, so with our court case, we're really staying partisan. And we're just really focused on the power of the black vote. And so, like you stated with the other Supreme Court cases, this isn't a fight for just black Alabamians. It is also a fight for black voters across the South, to include Louisiana. Louisiana has a similar case, and they were basically told that they'll get their decision based off of what the Alabama decision is. And so I like to say that I feel like this case can be as influential as Brown versus Board of Education, which led to the integration of schools across the South. This case, Milligan versus Merrill, can lead to black people gaining political power across the South in states such as Alabama. Louisiana has their case, and then South Carolina also only has one black congressional district. And so I kind of feel like with the map, they gave us that one district where we're packed, and they kind of was like, hey, that's y'all district, go sit down somewhere. But we are here to fight, to be the voice for our community, and to make sure that our power isn't diluted in these upcoming elections.
Khadidah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just want to say that there are a lot of things at stake right now, and our democracy is one of those. If America claims to be a nation that thrives on a democratic republic, this case is going to determine that based on the Supreme Court's decision and what they choose. Another reason why our democracy is at stake, because specifically Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act says you cannot discriminate based upon age, race, or gender in any voting procedure, and that's exactly what Alabama is doing with these current redistricting maps, and that is the argument that they have, the argument that they will be using in this case is about Section 2. So this means that the Voting Rights Act could be weakened even more than it already is.
You know, and the thing here, first of all, the reason I chose to go partisan is because it's a fact. Republicans control the legislature. They drew the districts. The same thing is happening in Texas and other places in Florida, where what they want to do is, in Florida, Ron DeSantis basically demolished the black districts, and then they wanted to be able to, place black folks in other areas where there are safe Republican seats. And so there are two ways to screw over black voters. One is packing them in one district, which keeps them from being able to impact other congressional districts. That's one way. Or the flip side is to break up a black district and basically blow it apart into 4 or 5 different areas. In fact, that's what Republicans did in Tennessee, where they decimated the district, the seat in Nashville, and so therefore then broke up Nashville, and now it's a part of essentially several congressional districts. So Nashville itself does not have their own congressional representative where most black people live. No, they're not pieces and they're dispersed to other Republican congressional districts.
That same thing can be seen in Alabama. The black belt is actually split into 3 different congressional districts to dilute the black voting power. So you see that same exact thing that you just mentioned in Tennessee is in Alabama in our black belt region.
And unfortunately, though, you face an uphill battle because it was this Supreme Court, even in the 5-4 decision, without Coney Barrett being there, it makes it 6-3. Where Chief Justice John Roberts led the gutting of Section 4. And so you face an uphill battle now trying to convince 5 justices to side with you. Luckily, you have these lower court rulings that even had Trump appointees who even said, damn, this is kind of blatant. There needs to be at least a second congressional seat.
Yeah, I totally agree with you as far as Section 4 being gutted. As we know, Section 4 says that any jurisdiction that had a history of voting rights discrimination, they had to get their maps approved by the Department of Justice and the Civil Rights Department. And now that we no longer have that opportunity, that's why it's even more imperative that we as people pay attention to this case tomorrow, because it's going to determine whether the voting rights of all Americans at this point, what that would look like in the future.
Indeed. Well, certainly good luck tomorrow, and we'll be watching to see what kind of questions are asked from the bench by the justices. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for your support.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
When we invest in ourselves, we're investing in what's next for all of us. Growing, creating, making moves that move us all forward. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?